Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us today for the City of Miami Beach Building Department Permitting Workshop. The format for today's session will be as follows. We're going to present you with some poll questions. You will answer the poll questions, and based on the most common answers, our building official and building director, Ana Salguero, will lead us in discussions. After our poll section has completed, we will allow everyone or whoever would like to speak 2 minutes to speak. If you would like to speak, please use the raise hand icon. You should see it to the left of your pop-up box. There should be a raise hand icon. So we will go through that raise hand icon through the list at the end of the session, and you will be given 2 minutes to speak on any suggestions or concerns you have. With that said, we'll give it a minute, and then I will turn it over to our building official and director, Ana Salguero. Thank you. Okay, Ana, I unmuted you. Sorry.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the first, hopefully, of many permitting workshops. The idea here is to have first the overview focus questions and kind of get an idea on where you've been having the issues or the most challenges in permitting, for us to then have a focus discussion where you will be the ones discussing where you found the problems and make possible, if you've thought of a solution, that would be great. We definitely welcome input. The idea is to use this as a process improvement session, and also to then focus and find where the two key issues where everyone seems to be having problems and focus in on those so that we can really look at how to improve. So the first thing we want to talk about is we've had a couple of previous training sessions and wanted to ask the question. So the question is, have you ever participated in the question? Please vote. You select it on your, you can select yes or no, and then you can hit enter and it will submit your answer. And so we'll be tracking your answers and seeing how it is that, you know, how you feel about what we've been doing so thus far and what it is you'd like to see to increase, to make things better. So please let us know if you've participated in any of the trainings or any of the webinar trainings. And you can, if you didn't participate originally, but you did visit our website and look at the training or re-listen to a training from there, you can count yourself as having been a participant. So please let us know, yes or no, have you been a participant? We also have, and it's important for us to get the feedback on this. So I'll give you like a minute to make sure that everyone takes the time to vote and to let us know. So please place your answer and submit, and then this way we can, you know, get the ideas to get the best feedback we can from you. Once we have a high enough percentage of people answering, then we'll move on and go on to the next series of questions. So we have hopefully you've been visiting our website. We have an online resource center, and that's the next series of questions are about that and how you feel about our online resource center. So Natasha, if you could please put on the next question.
Okay, let me see if I can display.
The next question is, have you visited our online resource center? Yes or no? And so we really want to know, we've been working to actually make it easier for people to look up information on the online permitting, and we started this online permit resource center. And so we want to know, have you visited it? And were you able to find information? Did you find things in a clear manner? So the first one is, have you visited? The next question is going to be if you were able to find information and if you were able to understand the type of it, where you wanted to go with this. Did you feel that we were effective at explaining how to apply for an online permit, what the steps were, how you needed to name the files, all of that. So let us know if you feel that if you have visited it, let us know if you feel that it was helpful to you. So these are the questions we really do want to get some general feedback. We're going to have more specific questions on the process, trust me, as we go along. But first we want to just kind of see who you are and how much interaction you've had with our department. So based on that, we can kind of judge what we need to do and where we need to definitely improve. So we will be looking at these general questions as also ways to improve our system. And so the next question, question number 3.
I know we're still getting a few more on this question.
Oh, okay. Okay. We'll give you a few more seconds to get the answer on that if you visited our online resource center. I guess.
So Anna, for poll number 1, if they participated in previous trainings, we had a 50% yes and 50% no.
Okay.
For poll number, for this one that we're on now, we have a 73% yes and 27% no.
Well, that's good to know that people are actually, that the word is getting out there to visit our website. The next is, if you were able to, if you did visit our website and our resource center, did you find the information you were looking for? Did you understand the directions? Was it clear and easy to understand? And so if it was clear and easy, yes. If it wasn't, if you found it to be more confusing than before you got on there, the answer would be no. If you've never been there, it can be not applicable. So let us know, since 75% of you have visited our website, let us know when you were on our resource center, how the 75% of you that visited it found the experience. So if you have not visited it, you're not applicable on this question, just to let you know. If you have visited it, you either found the information and found it useful, or you did not find the information or did not find it useful. And we're trying to see better ways of improving this. This is obviously not going to be hopefully the focus of our discussions later. This is just some background so that we can also make some process improvements and make the process easier and more better for everyone. There's something I wanted to add that I wanted to add at the beginning, and I left it out, which is so far we have had an issue where our phone section and our record section has been affected deeply by COVID. So you will be receiving an email. We're going to have to reroute the phone section, and we're asking people to call the chiefs if you have a question for a reviewer, to call the reviewer directly, to visit our website to try to find answers if you're not sure, if you have general questions. If not, you can always email me, you can email Natasha, you can email Narinder, but we're trying to to spread it out a little bit, because last time our phone section was swamped, what ended up happening is then I've got over 250 emails and 20 calls a day, and it just becomes very difficult with the meetings and everything to keep up. So we're trying to divide up the pot, so to speak, so that you can get the assistance that you need when you call in, and you don't have this huge frustration from calling and not getting someone answer your calls. So we ask that you bear with us, and that when you do send us an email, if you send us an email, you do not need to send us 10 other emails on the same email. If we haven't responded within 2 days, yes, and it's with a human being, re-email that human being and say, hey, I don't know if you missed this one, but I sent you this 2 days ago, and forward it. But if you send us 10 or 12 emails a day, all you do is kind of make us a little bit crazy. And I think we're all a little COVID crazy at this point. Anything we can do to work together and make the process better for everyone, I think will be helpful. And it's not that we don't want to answer your questions. Sometimes we're overbooked in meetings. So please bear with us. Give us 48 hours to respond. If it's something critical, then do pick up the phone, and the email you'll be getting will have the extension numbers for everyone. We will also be doing via our communications group. We're going to try to get something out through communications also, so that you should be getting this through multiple media. Okay, so let's move on to the.
For this polling question, we had 31% yes, 31% no, and 38% not applicable.
Okay. Interesting, because only 27% said they didn't use it. So, but okay, whatever. So
you want to move on to the next one?
I guess it's something we're going to have to work on, making that a little simpler, because I was hoping we'd have better numbers on this, quite frankly, but we'll, it always gives us a chance to improve. The next question is, do you have a CSS account? In order to access information, to upload drawings, you must have a CSS account. So do you have one? Yes, no. I tried and I gave up. So I want to know how you feel about this. Do you have an account? Did you find logging in? I know that I've talked through several people through opening up an account, and it actually was less than 5 minutes. We were on the phone. It's a 4-step process. It's pretty straightforward. If you have an issue because you've had multiple accounts, you can have your accounts merged. In that case, you'll have to email someone, and that's Joanna Tormo, and there's 2 people that are involved in this. It's somebody from IT and someone from our department. The person from our department looks at all of your different accounts. The person from IT actually does the merging. And it's the reason it takes 2 people is to make sure that when we merge your information, it doesn't hurt something that is involves another department. So hopefully most of the people that are participating have the CSS account and understand and have logged in and have dealt with our department enough where they've got the account and they were able to log in, they were able to do it, and they've had the account for a long time. And so how are we doing on the voting, Natasha?
So here we have 80% yes, 10% no, 10% I tried and gave up.
Okay, well, the yes, it sounds great. And then I tried and gave up. We're gonna then try to get a little thing on an easy step-by-step guide. I mean, it's a 4-step process, but we'll send something out on how to, do you have a CSS account and how to get one, and we'll try to send that email out or put something on our website so that you can kind of link through and learn how to do it a little better. The next question is, which we have auto emails that come out and that you should be receiving. And so what we want to know is which of these have been the most helpful. And this, I guess, ended up getting broken off. So you get an email for invoice. You get an email when the permit review process is done and it indicates the corrections that are required. You will get an email from the permit counter in case they find that there's information that's missing from your application, or you haven't given us a cost affidavit or something. So those will be emails that you get. There's an email that you get when things are finalized and the finalization process. And there's an email that you get from BOA because the BOA permit is really not a permit. It is an application to apply. It's a building online application. And so once that becomes a permit application, you get an email with, this is the permit application number, this is the invoice. And so that's another one that you will get. And so here you can tell us of all of these, which ones have been the most helpful. So if you leave something out, we know that those have been the least helpful, and that'll help us. We'll look at the percentage of which ones people think are the most helpful and which ones are the least helpful, and see if there's ways that we can correct or enhance our email notification to you. If you feel that none of them have been useful, leave everything blank. If you feel that all of them have been useful, check off all that apply. So I'll give you a little more time on this one since it's a multi-part question. And I just wanted to say we've been trying on the to make more of the email notifications an automatic email, so that you don't have to add a human lag time where I did this, now I've got to email you, and there's a slowdown on it. So we're really trying to make them, and so I understand that sometimes the email seems like it's coming from a machine, because it is. And so, but when you receive an email from e-services is not a person. So don't respond to e-services, don't email them. It is the machine, and it goes into nowhere land. It's not read by anyone. It is not it's one of those like no reply emails. So you really should not be replying to okay, perfect. So thank you all for answering so completely on this. I really do appreciate getting the feedback. The next question is specifically on, have you encountered issues with receiving final documents? So we've changed how we send stuff. We used to place our documents in a Dropbox and send an email with a link to the Dropbox. And now the plans are actually uploaded into CSS, and you can, from your side, download the drawings and print them out. So we want to make sure, if you've been having issues getting these final documents. We know some people have. So we wanted to ask, have you been having, have you encountered issues with the finalizing? And understanding that we did a few weeks ago, we were about a week and a half behind on finalizing documents. We had gotten caught up where we were running pretty much on the day, most 24 hours later. Right now, we're about 3 days out on these. And we're going to, again, be working this weekend to help get it caught up. What ends up happening is the reviewers get very efficient and will maybe approve 50 or 60 documents in a day. We had, because of the furloughing of employees, we've had employees that are furloughed. We've had employees in that section test positive. So we're down a couple of people in that group, but the two that we've got have been workhorses and have kept us close to being caught up, and we're working really hard to continue to be caught up. So let us know on this. And then the next is, okay, so 30% don't know what the final, well, hopefully the final documents should be the plans that are approved and that have the stamp, the approval stamp from the City of Miami Beach that are used on the permit site. So you need to print those out and have those available for the inspector to see when they show up on site to do the inspection. The next question is about where you've had the most problems. And here's really where we're trying to focus the next part. So, have you encountered issues with invoices and online payments? So has anyone here had issues with receiving an invoice and being able to pay it online? I know this morning, I got an email from someone who had, they emailed e-services and they emailed BPI and they emailed me that they were unable to pay for their invoice, but they had already paid. So I wasn't really sure where their issue was, but I think they were trying to pay and they had already, when they clicked paid, and then they kept trying to go back and it wouldn't let them pay it again, which is a good thing. But you know, sometimes since it is a machine, it doesn't tell you this has already been paid. It just said that invoice is not found. And so it becomes kind of, I think, difficult for someone on your side that can't see what's happened with it. So we wanted to know about the invoicing. And then let's move on to the really key questions here, which the next question is about where you've had the most problems. So have you had the most problems with registering to use the CSS, with our file naming convention for plans, with the whole application and applying for permit, with uploading documents or corrections, or with downloading the approved documents? And here we want to see so that we can, this is really looking for where your biggest issues have been. Here, it's actually with the process part of it. So if you find the process of applying for permit not to be difficult, then don't put that one, because there's another question about the wait time. So this is specifically just about the process. So which part of this process have you encountered the most problems with? And that's what we're looking for. Where has it been difficult for you? One, so that we can look to see where we can make improvements. The next one, we're going to talk about the wait times. But this one specifically is just, while you've been using this, where have you found the most difficulties? And so let us know so we can look for how to make certain things easier. We can reach out, you know, to discuss it with other groups and make sure that we can make improvements where we need on making it easier for you to know about the file naming convention, know about how to upload documents or corrections, and make it break out our online training to more little specific bytes or bits of information to make it quicker for you to access. Because I get it. Sometimes it's overwhelming when it's to sit through a half-hour presentation or sit through go through some, you know, a 20-page document to find the information. So we're going to try to break out the information into little bits to make it hopefully easier for everyone to work their way through. Natasha, how are we doing on this one?
I'll give it 5 more seconds.
Okay.
The results are in, Anna?
Yeah, I see the results. And apparently the most difficult has been applying for permit. And so we're probably going to focus one of the conversations later on where people had difficulty in applying for permits. I think that's something that if you're having trouble applying for permits, we need to definitely address that. And part of that may be the document upload. So we may kind of combine that a little bit. And then the next question has to do with where you have encountered the most difficulty and the longest wait times. Which part of this process has been the most frustrating for you? Let us know where you've been having the most problems. I know a few weeks ago, the final drawings were really way behind, and we worked diligently to get that caught up. We redistributed staff, and we were like cooking with oil. Unfortunately, one of the people that were rerouted tested positive and is so we're down, and we had somebody else that had already scheduled some time off, and so we've been sort of limping a little in the last week, but hopefully you felt the difference when we put in the extra energy, and we do plan on returning to that same successful model once we can get everybody up and in the office. Even that model should work with just 3 people on it. We had 5 people on it. Right now, we've really only have 2 that are working doing this, and that's why we're limping a little bit, but we're going to get it caught up again. So let us know where the process has been the most frustrating for you, because we need to know where you're having trouble. And how are we doing on that one? Okay. All right, so the phone calls have been and the emails have been the difficult one. The workflow for plan review also. Okay, thank you. And I wanted to break out the questions because I thought if I gave you 10 questions and asked you to answer them, you may be answering questions, kind of rushing through. The other thing is, do you feel that these training and informative sessions have been something that are useful and that you'd like to see more of? And so specifically this new format that we're going to have, we're going to maybe save this question. Natasha, can we save it for the end after everyone has been able to answer and speak, so that we don't so that they can actually say whether the talking time worked for them. So if you guys want to hold off on answering this one, we'll put it back in the, can we
relaunch it after?
Can we undo it?
I don't know if we can undo it, but we can relaunch it.
Okay, so we'll relaunch it later so that we can look at it at the end. And so then what we're going to do now is we're going to open up the floor, and the first issue that everyone felt that was the most frustrating, and I should have taken notes on this, was with applying for permit, and as far as, and the other issue that were the phone section. And the other issues were the longest wait times had to do with the uploading of the drawings, and the other issue had to do again with the phone. So if you would like to talk about specifically the process of the applying for permit and uploading drawings, and the process of the phones or the emails, that is what we will open the floor to. you have each will have 2 minutes, and it's to talk about those topics. I get that there's other things that everyone wants to talk about. We will, but you're limited to 2 minutes, and while 2 minutes is a long time, it also goes by really quickly. So start queuing up.
Please
And
raise your hand.
and now I get to shut up, and you all get to speak, and thank you. So did anyone raise their hand?
I have one here, Elisa Kriplin. I'm going to unmute you now. Elisa?
This is very, hi there, how are you?
Hi.
Two things. One, the invoice payment issue I had experienced also. It was simply because it didn't issue a receipt. It immediately like cut out as soon as the payment went through. And so it was very unclear whether the payment had actually been made or not. And no receipt was emailed either. So there seems to be just a little glitch in the system somewhere right now. It hasn't been like that in the past, but that was a recent occurrence. The second question I have for you is why you're making it a requirement to submit sheets that weren't revised when you do a revision or to comment responses.
The reason is because of the finalization process. So what happens, the way this system works is it puts the drawings in a folder, and then by resubmitting, think of each submittal like when you come in, you remove the documents that are, in this case, you're voiding some the ones that you're redoing, and you're bringing it in, because I'm hoping at the end to automate this process. And if I can have the final files already fully compiled, we may be able to automate the finalization process and make it more efficient.
So there's a couple of issues with that from a digital signing and sealing standpoint. And I think we run the risk of there being more errors in sheets that actually didn't change. So the City of Miami, they're imperfect in so many ways, but in their digital plan system, which we've been using now for a couple of years, they still manage to compile everything at the end, but the individual sheets are uploaded, which quite honestly, having used both now, it's far more straightforward and easy. You imagine a set of 300 sheets and you're only revising one. It means you have to recompile everything because you require them to be grouped together. It requires us to group everything, but there's only one sheet that's changed, and you have to take that out of an old set and then put the new sheet in and then re-upload everything. And in my personal experience, the document control from our end is seriously complicated by that and runs the risk of there being an incorrect permit revision series in the set somewhere. So that would just be my suggestion. Somehow the City of Miami manages to do it where you only upload the individual sheets. The sheets also aren't bundled, which makes it much easier to sign and seal because you do each sheet individually. Some people have trouble digitally signing and sealing an entire group of sheets successfully. Also, I've had trouble with engineers who flat out don't understand. I've written them, okay, I need you to have a list of the drawings on your front sheet, and then I need you to just sign the front, and they just flat out can't follow it. We spend a week just getting them to format things correctly.
Okay, thank you. Our next hand raised is Patricia Carrasco. I will unmute you. Give me 1 second. Okay, go ahead.
Yes, good morning. I have a customer that he's paying like 3 times the same invoice. How can he get the refund?
Well, so refunds, you have to submit a refund request form And you can find that on our website.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
And I'm agree with the last person.
Okay, thank you. Next hand raised is Reggie Monzoon. Reggie, go
Hi.
ahead.
Hi, good morning, Natasha. Good morning, Anna. Just wanted to, hi, thanks. Just wanted to touch bases on the whole applying for a permit. I mean, I imagine it's giving some people issues. I guess my question is more BOA related for those building permits, the online ones. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think that the revisions, once upon a time, you were able to apply for a revision directly, and now that's become a BOA process. So, I mean, the BOAs, I guess my question is, Anna and Natasha, what do you think is a realistic time frame? So I know with the review times, you gave that nice, 21-day turnaround time, which you guys have been working so hard to bring down, and the review times have turned around a lot faster. But the processing of these permits, just so that when we have these discussions with our clients and have realistic expectations, what would you say is your goal in getting these BOA process numbers, processed?
The goal realistically is 24 hours. Unfortunately, and the reason we had to remove permit, we can bring them back. The problem we had was people were just randomly picking and they were processing the wrong permits. We spent more time undoing errors than moving work ahead. And we were ending up having to void process numbers, create new process numbers on more than 50% of what was being submitted because people weren't taking the time to read what it was they were applying for. So we're hoping that if we can get everyone well enough trained, the revisions is one of the ones I'd like to bring back first. But there's some things I would like the system to do in order to bring the revisions back. And so we're working on fixing that. And I could see where on the revision, you really want to be able to apply and upload and move it forward and not go through the BOA process. Ideally, the BOA process would be a 24-hour process and would then clear up the people that don't know, and you'd be surprised at how many apply for the wrong permits.
Okay, our next speaker is Tabitha Messer. I think you're muted.
Area. The issue that we've been seeing a lot of is
Tabitha, you're breaking up.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yep.
We're having an issue that we don't deal with directly. And
As soon as you start saying what your issue is, we can't hear. I'm sorry.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
I just don't want to be screaming at you.
Scream.
Factors are running into issues that are kind of running the gamut, but the biggest issue seems to be with phone calls and emails because their permit application gets up and it can be just fixed with a simple, but they can't get an answer back. Contractor has been held up because her CSS account, when she tries to upload the documents, it doesn't attach for some reason to her account. Another one is encountering an issue with it claiming that the folio is invalid when there are many open permits on the property with the same folio number. So there's a glitch, and it's a case where if they could talk to a single person that could actually just fix it, they could move the process. But instead, these people are being on hold for months at a time for major projects, like re-roofs and things like that. So that's where the issues that
Okay, Tabitha, you cut out again. I'm going to move on to the next speaker, Ari Sklar. Ari, you're muted. There you go.
Hello, am I unmuted?
Yes.
Yes, you are.
Hi. I think, as you know, Anna, I'm not so happy about the CO process now.
It didn't change. I don't know why you're unhappy. The process has not changed.
I've been working for 20, 30 years in Miami Beach. I don't remember how long already. I've never had to do this in my entire life. And
Apply for a CO?
you guys already have all the permit plans that we had approved, and then all the revisions, and now we have to go ahead and make another set of as-bills?
That was a requirement that was actually, we're not going to go into this. The as-built was a requirement that went to commission, and it was something that was voted on in, I think, 2015 or 16 before I got here. So that's the as-built requirement. I am looking at simplifying it, but that requirement has been in place since before I got here. That's not new. So it may be that the projects you were working on are old projects from before that was a requirement, but it is not a new requirement. It's been around since at least 2016, and it is included in the comments at the first review of the permit. But we are looking to simplify that process, and what we're so we'll talk about that offline. Thank you.
I have a question, though. I have a question. The project, if the project was approved before 2016, why does it still have to do the same process if nobody knew about it at the time that we got the permit?
No, if it's an older process, it doesn't have to do it. It depends on the date of the actual permit, getting the permit.
All right, so I think there's a confusion there, because in our case, our permit is before 2016.
Well, I'd have to look at the dates, quite frankly, because maybe it was end of 2015. I wasn't here, so I don't remember what the start date was on that. I'll have to look back and see what the start date was.
That's fine. And also, I think it's good to look for the future at simplifying it, because it's been a repetitive, arduous process. The things have been repetitive, and being able to log into the CSS and upload, it's one permit then the other permit. I think it's not easy for people, and it's confusing. So
Thank you,
if
Ari.
you find a way to improve that, it would be great.
Thanks.
Chuck. Okay, we don't have any more hands raised. If anybody else would like to speak, please raise your hands. Okay. Anna, are we taking repeats? Do we have enough time for repeats?
Yeah, we have enough time to take a repeat.
Okay. We have Reggie. Reggie, go ahead.
Hi, Anna. Sorry, I kind of feel like I didn't get my 2 minutes, but that's okay. I'm back. Real quick. So the BOA, I get it, is 24 hours. That's the goal. Now, I guess my question is, I'm not trying to point the finger at anyone. I just want to understand the process so that we know who to reach out and don't take any additional time from staff and everyone as a whole. So once this doesn't happen, let's say I give it a few days, the BOA number still hasn't been converted to a full building permit number. Who do I reach out to at that point? Because as you know,
People are reaching
BPI
out to me, Reggie.
reach out.
So they're reaching out to me or to Narinder because quite frankly, when they start you can reach out to BPI, but again, BPI then becomes backlogged, and they're really trying to get the contractors certifications and uploads and answer general questions. And if your question is a timeline question, they can't answer it. And if you start emailing, like most people, what they will do is email 10 people at the permit counter and ask them, and that just slows everybody down. So I tell people to email Narinder, email me, email Pedro, email Natasha. We will, we'll look and we'll tell you where you are in the queue. We can't move you in the queue. We'll just tell you more or less how much of a wait time you're going to have.
I understand. Okay. No, it definitely helps because, like I said, the last thing we want to do is bombard BPI. I already see they're responsible for, I think, over 10 tasks. I received an email from BPI where it's asking for a subject line now, and they're responsible for who knows how many different things. So I get it, and okay, I guess I'll proceed and reach out to you because I have a couple that have gone a little past that time.
Yeah, if you can group them. Oh no, for right now, BPI is running probably at about 5 or 6 days behind. The goal is 24 hours. We're not there yet. So right now they're running 5 or 6 days behind. But if you have something that's older than that, let us know. We're doing a mass push this weekend to try to see how caught up we can get, because we're going to transfer to, you won't notice the difference. Hopefully you'll notice that the wait times will decrease. But we're transferring to a more automated e-plan review process on Monday.
Last thing, Anna, and I'll probably be quiet for the remainder of the session. With the BOAs, is there any way of maybe, that second upfront fee? So you apply for a BOA, you pay those $50, it goes through the process, gets pushed to the city clerks. They work on it. Another upfront fee is due at that point. You pay that, and then it goes back to the same hands, I guess, and they have to finish everything up. Is there any way that fee can kind of just go towards the end of the permitting or
Yeah,
something?
we were trying to move the fee just on the permit so that it wouldn't be on the BOA. But the problem that we find is that we're also doing BOAs for the fire department. And so on those, we'll have to do the upfront $50 fee, because we're doing all the backload work for fire prevention on those. But yeah, I see your point, and we'll relook at it and see how we can make that maybe just a one invoice process, because that's always better than 2 invoices. So we'll work on that.
Thank you for your time.
No, thank you. We really do appreciate the feedback. I enjoy hearing where people think something is working and something isn't working. I found it interesting, the comments on the single documents and the multi documents, and how much easier it was with City of Miami, when I know for the first at least year that City of Miami did this process. We're coming up on 2 years in October. I know that 90% of the problems were that you had to then be very specific in how you named the file. And so we thought that this would simplify, and the system that we use is a different system than City of Miami. And so based on the system we're using and the recommendations from the manufacturer is why we had the multi-page PDF document. So I didn't understand why there would be more errors on a multi-page PDF document, because our system does a check to check the new document, the old document, and see if there's been any changes. So I was very confused with why there would be more errors in a multi-page. But I think that's something that whoever brought that up, please talk to me offline so that I can figure, hear a little bit more about where the problems were, and we can look and see with our vendor ways to improve this. Because we're all coming up on the end of time, and I want to make sure that is to discuss on the times for the processing, because we've been moving to the 5-day time on the smaller plans. How is that working? Is anyone noticing that on the review times, or the review times aren't really the issue because the process, the upfront uploading is taking so much longer? Does anyone have a comment on that?
Anna, we don't have any hands raised right now.
Well, then I guess the next thing is to put up the last question. Natasha, and see, you know, if people feel that this was effective.
Okay, I think Elisa is trying to talk. Hold on 1 second. Let me unmute her. Okay, maybe not. All right, let me put up that poll question again. The poll is in progress.
And while the poll is in progress, what I'm going to say, when I said to email Narinder, Natasha, me about this, don't email all three of us. Pick one, email that person. And if you can, if you have 3 issues, put them all on the same email. Make sure to include the process number or the BOA number that you're asking about. What we do is we check to make sure that there isn't an issue, that it's queued in and it's set to be worked on. We don't push it ahead. We just make sure that it isn't something that fell through the cracks. And I'm going to, you know, publicly admit this. We did have some we have tasks that are created, and at one point we did not realize that there was a limitation on to how many tasks were shown. So what was happening is the clerks were working slower than the rate of the tasks were coming in, and tasks were disappearing from the screen of work that they had to do. So when we did get complaints and we looked at it, we saw that those tasks had disappeared from the from where they can look at their daily work. And so then because of this, we ended up creating a report to catch that. So when you do see something is taking long, email us, not at the 24-hour mark, but if something's taken longer than 3 or 4 days, email us, and then we'll at least look to make sure that it isn't something that fell between the cracks, because we did find some types of permits and some tasks that ended up not being on the radar, and so we ended up having to kind of backtrack, and we're still sweeping up some of the things that fell between the cracks at that period of time. So that's why I do appreciate the feedback. Well, I'm glad that at least 88% of you like this format. We will continue to have these different types of sessions. Some are going to be more training related sessions. Some are going to be like this to get the feedback. We need to get the feedback. This is how we look to improve the process, by giving us your feedback. And Ari, I've been copied on all the emails, so I was already looking into ways of simplifying the as-built process. To make it a little bit more of a, instead of an as-built, really more of a final construction set, and it being something that the architect could provide, could certify, and could put into the record, so that to make it easier in the future, when someone wants a record of the drawings, there aren't 15 different records or 18 different records that need to be looked at. There's one place to find, this is the final set. I, the architect, certify that this is the final set, and for record keeping. And so that's how I'm looking to simplify it. It being something that would go directly into the record system rather than it being something that would be reviewed. So that you would certify this as the final record set, and that would become the legal final record of those drawings. And somebody could still search and find the other documents if they needed to. So this is something that I've been looking towards and seeing how to work out. Unfortunately, our record section is also had some COVID positive, so we're not going to implement that until we get to a better health place with them. And thank you all for participating. I appreciate the fact that you've come, that you've shared. I really do. We really do try to listen to your feedback and take it and look at places where we can improve. And thanks again for coming, and thank you for participating. And thank you, Natasha, for orchestrating this so smoothly. Thanks a lot. Thank you all.
Thank you.